Hello, welcome back to Learn Oikonomia. Before starting this video, let me tell you that it's a requested video. So there was a request in my comment box in the last video asking for a video on planning. So we know that we know about what planning commission and its role in implementing 5-year plans, etc. in India, and how this planning commission is replaced by Niti Aayog, all these kinds of things. We will be discussing in detail the 5-year plans in India, its history as well as the objectives. Even though 5-year plans and all is not prevalent right now in our country, since it is replaced by what is known as Niti Aayog. Still, we have to understand that plans and 5-year plans play a very important role, especially in the competitive examinations like UPSC or NET. Okay. So with that, we are moving on to this video. We have to understand that the Constitution of India, as we all know, it came into being on 26th of January 1950, and as a result of the Constitution, there was a planning commission which was set up in our country on March 15, 1950. As a result, it was decided to start the planning era from April 1 of 1951 by launching the first 5-year plan, which had a duration of 5 years, which started in 1951 and lasted till 1956. Okay. So the term economic planning, why we use it is to make certain plans with respect to our expenditures, etc., to develop our economy. So this is used to describe some long-term perspective of the government to develop and coordinate the economy. Why to develop and coordinate the economy? Because the government is planning to utilize its resources by going for certain planning, and the resources could be used in such a ways to make the efficient and effective utilization of resources. And economic planning, as we have discussed in the beginning, it was started in 1951. That was the initial first 5-year plan, or that was the initial plan, or the first 5-year plan started. Then the idea of planning, actually we borrowed the idea of planning from Russia, and the government tried a lot to implement 5-year plans, and the 5-year plans from the very beginning, and the government considered this as very much important for having economic growth and economic development. So, coming to the objectives of planning, the government of India has gone for the planning perspective in the economy, or it has implemented the 5-year plans in India with a lot of objectives. So, it was aiming at high growth rate in the economy, and this was to improve the standard of living of people in India. And also, the government was trying to aim at economic stability for prosperity of the nation. The government also wanted India to become self-reliant, and the government thought that the planning perspective would be helping India to become self-reliant. And also, the government aimed at social justice and reducing inequalities in India. Planning was considered to be one of the steps which would be helping India to achieve this goal as well. Modernization of the economy was another goal aimed by the government by going for planning perspective. So we have to understand that the idea of planning, this was borrowed from Soviet Union by the Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru. So it was the influence of Soviet Union that helped, or that made some kind of impact in the mind of the then Prime Minister, then the first Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. And as a result, we have gone for planning. The first 8 5-year plans in India emphasize growing the public sector with huge investment in heavy as well as basic industries. But after that, the 9th 5-year plan, which came into being in 1997, in this plan, attention was shifted towards government acting as a facilitator. Okay, So in before that, the government had the main role of spending for spending for the development of the country. But after that, after this ninth 5-year plan, what the government has done is that the government just stood as the facilitator. Coming to the details of each of the plan, we could see that the first 5-year plan, which started in 1951 and lasted till 1956, had an objective of rehabilitation of refugees, rapid agricultural development to achieve food self-sufficiency in the shortest possible time and control of inflation. So we could see that the first 5-year plan concentrated on the agriculture sector, its development, etc. And as a result, we could see that if you look at the assessment of the first 5-year plan, after the first 5-year plan, we could see that many of the targets were achieved, or many of the objectives were achieved, but many of the objectives were not achieved. With an active role of the state in all the economic sectors, the first certain institutes or like IITs were started as the major technical institutions in the economy. And with that, we move on to the second 5-year plan, which started from 1956 and lasted till 1961. It concentrated on the development of major industries. So as a result, the rapid industrialization was given particular importance for the development of India in the second 5-year plan. This would included both basic as well as heavy industries. The industry policy of 1956 was accepted here. And coming to the assessment of this second 5-year plan, we could see that um, it was not fully implemented. I mean, as a result of the main reason was shortage of foreign exchange. We know that establishment of heavy industries require a lot of money, but due to the shortage of foreign exchange or foreign capital, a lot of uh, the plans with respect to the second 5-year plans could not be implemented, and targets had to be crude. Yet hydroelectric power projects and 5 steel mills in Bhilai, Durgapur and Rourkela were established. Coming to the third 5-year plan, after the second as well as the first and second 5-year plan, which concentrated on agriculture sector and industrial sector respectively, in 1961 we had gone for the third 5-year plan, and it lasted till 1966. And this was with the objective of establishment of a self-reliant and self-generating economy. But here also there were wars, droughts, etc., which was which were creating problems in the economy, and as a result there were many shortages, there were many drawbacks, and there were many hindrances which the government had to face when it was in a way for implementing the third 5-year plan. But the state electricity board, state secondary education boards, etc., were formed during this third plan period. Then we had planned holidays. That means that there were some annual plans from 1966 to 69. During this period, there was some crisis in agriculture and serious food shortage, which required major attention. And as a result, a new agriculture strategy was implemented in the country, which involved distribution of high-yielding varieties of seeds, irrigation facilities were provided, etc., etc. Then we had fourth 5-year plan, which started in 1969 and lasted till 1974. And this was a very ambitious plan, which came forward with an objective of growth with stability and progressive achievement of self-reliance. And also we could see that Garibi Hatao was a very important goal, which the plan aimed at. Here too, there were many failures, and it could achieve a growth rate of 3.5%, and also the inflation was a bit high in the economy. During this time, it was the Indira Gandhi government that was running, and what the government has done is that the government had gone for a nationalization of banks, and also here in during this period 14 banks were nationalized. Okay, 14 major banks in India were nationalized. And also coming to the agriculture sector, we could see that there was green revolution in India in order to make advancement in agriculture sector. During the fifth 5-year plan, which started from 1974 and lasted till 1979, the main objective was removal of poverty and attainment of self-reliance. But coming to the assessment of this plan, we could see that there was very high inflation in the economy, which terminated the general government. Indian National Highway was introduced during this time. During the sixth five-year plan, which lasted from 1980 to lasted from 1980 and lasted till 1985, the government aimed at direct attack on the problem of poverty by creating certain conditions for expanding the economy. And here we could see that there was family planning, and this was expanded in order to prevent overpopulation. Most of the targets could be achieved during the sixth five-year plan. In the seventh five-year plan from 1985 to 1990, the main goal was to give emphasis to policies as well as programs to accelerate economic growth and also accelerate the growth of production, food grain production, employment opportunities, and its improvement or its increase was also given importance. Coming to the assessment of this plan, we could see that with a growth rate of 6 per annum, this plan was proved successful in spite of severe drought condition for first 3 years of the plan. And this plan introduced programs like Jawahar Rozgar Yojana. Next, also we had some annual plans from 89 to 91. Uh, Here there was no plan due to some political uncertainties in the country, but it was the beginning of privatization and also the liberalization concepts in India. We know that it was during 1991 period that Indian government has gone for the LPG reforms in India, that is also known as the new economic reforms in the country. Then we had a five-year plan, which from 92 to 97, with an ambition of rapid economic growth, growth in agriculture sector, growth in manufacturing sector, growth in exports, growth in trade. Then all these things were the main motives of the government. But all the goals couldn't be achieved during the 8th plan period, but there was an average annual growth rate of 6.7 against a target of 5.6. Coming to the ninth five-year plan from 97 to 2002, it was aimed at improving the quality of life of people and also generation of productive employment. And it could achieve a GDP growth rate of 5.4%, and this is considered to be very much lower than the targeted growth rate. Industrial growth rate was 4.5%, which is higher than the targeted growth rate of 3%. Then coming to the service industry, it had a growth rate of 7.8%. The annual growth rate was 6.7%. And in the 10 5-year plan from 2002 to 7, here the main motive was to achieve an 8% GDP growth rate and to reduce poverty. And this plan is considered to be a little bit of successful plan. Successful plan in the sense that it could reduce poverty by the ratio of 5%. It could increase the forest cover to 25%. It could increase literacy rate to 75%, and also the economic growth grew over 8%. In the 11th five-year plan, which started from 2007 and lasted till 2012, the main motive was to go for rapid and inclusive growth rate, and it also aimed at increasing the growth rate in agriculture sector, industrial sector, service sector, etc. Environmental sustainability and reduction of gender inequality were also given importance here. But coming to assessment, we could see that India has recorded an average annual economic growth rate of 8%. The farm sector also grew at a rate of 3.7%, but the targeted growth rate was 4%. That means that what it achieved was a little bit less compared to what is targeted or what was targeted. Okay, now coming to the industrial growth rate, the growth rate was 7.2% as against the targeted growth of 10%. Here also the targeted the achieved growth rate was lower compared to the targeted growth rate. And in the 12th five-year plan from 2012 to 17, faster, sustainable and more inclusive growth rate was aimed, and the development of agriculture sector, manufacturing sector, power generation, etc. were also aimed at. But the growth rate target was only 8% here. With that, we are moving to the general objectives of economic planning. In the beginning of this video as well, we could see understand the motives of the government when it has gone for planning. So coming to the objectives of planning, the main motive was to go for economic development. So that means that the government was trying its level best to increase the GDP of the economy. Now, and also the government had many motives with respect to the increase of employment situations in the economy. We know that different types of unemployment situation is very much prevalent in India. That means that different types of unemployment is very much prevalent in India. The government was trying its level best to reduce unemployment situation in India, and as a result, the government started many programs to give employment opportunities to different sections of the people. Next, attainment of self-sufficiency was another important goal of economic planning. We had to increase our exports and reduce our imports in order to have some money in our hand. Otherwise, we will be having a huge we will be having a very high fiscal deficit, foreign exchange deficit, all these kinds of things would be happening. So the government of India was trying its level best to increase our exports and reduce our imports. Economic stability was another important goal of government, and it was with this goal too the government had gone for economic planning in India. And this means that we had to keep our inflation situation low. That doesn't mean that we have to keep our inflation situation at zero level. We should have some inflation, but that should not cross a limit. Okay, that should be a limit for inflation in the economy, and it shouldn't cross that particular limit. So that was the motive of the government when it had gone for planning. Social welfare and provision of efficient social services was another important objective of the government when it had gone for planning, and this included the welfare of labor, the welfare of all the sections of population, the welfare with respect to education, healthcare, emergency services. All these were considered for the planning in India. Then regional development was another very important goal of planning. We know that there is regional disparities in India. India is a country with country of unity with diversity, right? When we say unity in diversity, we have to take into consideration the disparities as well. For example, the northern states and the southern states, if you compare these, we could see that there are regional disparities. Some states like Punjab, Haryana, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, these are considered to be very much developed with respect to its economic development, etc. But if you look into the states like Bihar, Orissa, Assam, Nagaland, etc., these are economically backward, right? So we have to reduce the regional disparities, especially when we are staying as a single country. Next, comprehensive and sustainable development is another important goal for economic planning. When we have to go for planning, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't care about the development of future generation. We have to take care of the development of future generation as well. So that means that we have to go for sustainable development as well. Next is reduction in economic inequality. Whether we are going for distribution of income, whether we are going for taxation policies, reservation of jobs, etc., 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 everywhere we could see that there is inequality. So the government had gone for several important policies and programs to reduce inequality in the economy. Next is social justice. So this means that we have to reduce the population of people who below the poverty line. This is very much important to give them social justice. Okay, now coming to the increase in standard of living of people, I have to give them enough income. We have to give them jobs. We have to give them food. We have to give them water. So all these things should be given, and the standard of living of the people should be increased. Coming to the history of planning in India, we have already discussed everything, all these things, but this is just a summary to give you. Economic planning is actually something which could be dated back to the pre-independence period, and we had borrowed the idea of planning from Soviet Union, and it was a civil engineer and administrator M. Vishweshwaraya, who is regarded the pioneer of economic planning in India. He had a book. He had a book which is titled as a planning economy for India, which was published in 1934. And in this book, he had suggested the idea of planning. Okay, now we could see that the first plan had given importance to agriculture sector. The second plan gave importance to industrial sector. The third plan gave importance to self-reliant economy. The fourth one gave importance to growth, development, etc. So each 5-year plan, what it had done is that each had a different perspective. By looking into the economy, it could make certain goals and it could rank these goals, and the main important goal should be given as a priority number 1, and the second best goal is given priority number 2. So in like that, the government had gone for a proper analysis of the economy to implement 5-year plans and to make goals regarding 5-year plan. The planning commission was set up in 1915. First 5-year plan started in 1951, when planning commission was dissolved in 2014, and as a result we had something known as Niti Aayog, which replaced the planning commission in 2015 January. Niti Aayog is actually considered to be a step away from the command economy structure adopted in India, and planning commission's top-down model of development had become a redundant model due to the presence of economic conditions, and Niti Aayog approaches economic planning in a consultative manner with input from various state governments and think tanks. So that's all for today. Please like, share and subscribe to this channel for more videos, and you can be a part of my Telegram group and Telegram channel to discuss your doubts. I'll be providing the links of the same in the description box. I hope that the person who had asked for this video could be what to say, this video could be of help to that person. So if any of you want me to do any of the videos, please comment the topic which you want me to do in the comment box, so I'll be picking it up and doing a video on that. So that's all for today. Thank you.